Fans of Frank Herbert's Dune have finally hit the motherlode. These guys have been campaigning for a quality adaptation of the classic series for decades at this point, and they finally got it last year. The movie was one of 2021's biggest hits, and the studios involved are coming back for more. HBO Max is currently casting for a Dune series, and it looks epic. Here's everything you need to know about the project. Firstly, it's part of WB's new vision for the streaming service. You've probably heard at this point that Warner Bros. Is shaking up everything at HBO Max. The streaming service has actually been one of the biggest victims of the company's merger with Discovery. A ton of movies and series have gotten canceled as part of WB CEO David Zaslav's new mission. But it's not all bad news. We've just got word that the studio is fast-tracking production on two big IP-driven shows. It's all part of a new strategy that's honing in on the company's biggest properties for new content. According to Deadline, HBO Max is pursuing two projects: Welcome to Derry and Dune, the Sisterhood. That first one is a spin-off of the It movies featuring Pennywise the Clown, and it sounds pretty fun. What's got us even more excited though is the idea of an entire TV show based on the Dune series. Now, people used to think that Herbert's books were unadaptable, but director Denis Villeneuve came in and proved them all wrong. Both fans and critics loved his take on the source material, and the hype around the franchise has gotten really intense. That said, we've got some sad news to share about the Sisterhood. Get this, Villeneuve apparently isn't going to be directing any of the episodes. When Warner Bros. Announced the show back in October of last year, they said that he would direct the pilot, and writer John Spates would serve as the writer. These guys were the driving forces behind the movie, so it felt like the spin-off was in good hands. As it turns out though, things haven't been going according to plan. Both creatives have had to step away from the project, and there's now a new team heading up production. Apparently, Denis has had his hands full with Dune Part 2. On the other hand, John is co-writing the sequel and coming up with new ideas for taking the franchise. It's safe to say that they're both really invested in this series. The good news is that HBO says they'll both still be serving as producers on the show, and they've already brought in some new faces to lead the team. It sounds like the executives at the studio have a lot riding on the Sisterhood, and the people they've hired to head up Dune's production are definitely super capable. Get this, the director in charge of Chernobyl will be stepping into Villeneuve's shoes for the spin-off. That's right, HBO Max has tapped Johan Rank to direct the series' first two episodes, and we can't think of a better choice for the position. This guy has a lot of experience in TV production, and he's obviously built up a great working relationship with HBO. He's also worked on shows like The Walking Dead and Vikings, so we're pretty sure he'll be able to deliver on the scale and world building of Dune. Rank will be teaming up with new showrunner Diane Ademujan, who's also got a pretty impressive resume. Her last big project was Netflix's The Haunting of Bly Manor, which she executive produced and wrote for. She's also written for Empire, The Vampire Diaries, and Crossing Jordan. So far, only a handful of people have gotten the chance to write for this franchise, which means it's a pretty exciting time to be a Dune fan. We're sure Ademujan is going to come up with some epic new characters and storylines, so there's a lot to look forward to. Next, let's talk about what the Sisterhood is about. Luckily for us, The Hollywood Reporter recently put out a premise for the show, and it sounds awesome. According to the report, the series will revolve around the Bene Gesserit. That's the mysterious order of women who trained Paul Atreides' mother, Jessica. Sadly, we only got a glimpse of them in the movie. Every sister in the group has access to supernatural powers, and they're actually one of the strongest political forces in the Dune universe. Now, we don't know about you, but we think a show about their order would be pretty sweet. It would also answer a ton of the questions that the film left us with. The Sisterhood will probably be set in the years leading up to the rise of Paul Atreides, and that opens up a bunch of possibilities for the story. The show could be about the origins of the Bene Gesserit, or it might be the story of Reverend Mother Mohiam. That's the creepy lady Charlotte Rampling played in the movie, and we just know she's got a story to share. Of course, there's one obvious direction the series could go in, and it involves one of the film's main characters. That's right, we're talking about Rebecca Ferguson's Lady Jessica. The actress had one of the strongest performances in Dune, and that's saying something, since the movie had a stacked cast. We love to see her again in the Sisterhood, because basically, everyone thought her performance in the film was perfect. Learning about her origins in the Bene Gesserit would be a dream come true for the fans. What's more, Ferguson says she'd be up to reprise the role for the small screen. She says she's free in the second half of 2023, so let's hope HBO gives her a call. But honestly, there are a lot of other places the story could go. The Dune universe is one of the deepest fictional universes of all time, and the writers of The Sisterhood are going to have a lot of material to draw from. If they're covering the history of the Bene Gesserit, they might just bring things back to Earth, since that's where the Order originally came into being. That said, we've got a few hints that suggest the show will be set on one of the established Dune planets instead. We might still come back to Earth for some flashbacks though. Back in April, director Johan Renck posted a painting of a Bene Gesserit with a caption that referenced the planet Wallach 9. That's where the Order's base of operations is located in the original series, and it's where the Sisterhood is apparently going to be set. Now, we're always up for seeing new planets from the Dune universe, so Renck's post has got us hyped. And based on everything we've seen so far, this is only the beginning. How do we know? Well, Legendary Entertainment apparently has some big plans for this franchise. It's basically their Star Wars, and they want to expand it as much as possible. According to the reports, they're looking into making video games, comic books, and tons of other content. The Sisterhood is the first part of their master plan, but they're only at the casting phase right now. We don't have a release date yet, but things look really promising based on the early reports. Let's hope HBO can knock it out of the park. With The Sisterhood covered, here's some other news about the streaming service's plans. First up, they're collaborating with Vice on a documentary. The two media giants are set to document a Bama Rush, which is what students call the sorority recruitment week at the University of Alabama. The event became pretty popular on TikTok in 2021, and it looks like it's still relevant. The documentary will be directed by Rachel Fleet, who you might know from her work on Introducing Selma Blair. She and her team are currently in production at Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and they're documenting how 2,500 students rushed the 19 sororities at UOA. Fleet recently put out a statement saying that the film will be a compassionate representation of the women who take part in the Bama Rush. It'll come out on HBO Max, but the streamer hasn't announced a release date yet. Secondly, staff members at HBO Max are getting laid off. Warner Bros. Discovery is already under a ton of scrutiny after its cancellation of Batgirl, but things just took a turn for the worse. They've just announced that they'll be letting a ton of their HBO Max employees go. They're apparently trying to curtail their reality programming department. The downsize includes about 14% of the staff working under HBO Max's chief content officer, Casey Bloys. That's about 70 people in total, which is pretty shocking. The restructuring plans are going to impact a ton of other departments too. We hope WB knows what it's doing, because HBO Max is a popular service, and we'd be sorry to see it go. Finally, they're not done with DC just yet. That's right, HBO Max's slate of DC TV is alive and kicking. WB just canceled Batgirl and the Wonder Twins project, so fans were worried about shows like James Gunn's Peacemaker. Thankfully, a recent report has put all our fears to rest. According to a report by Deadline, a few DC series will be moving forward. That includes season 2 of Peacemaker, as well as Greg Berlanti's Green Lantern Corps and Colin Farrell's Penguin spinoff. That's welcome news, because DC fans from around the globe were looking forward to those projects. It also fits with WB's new big budget approach to their IPs, so it might be a win-win situation for everyone involved. That's a wrap for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.